Hi, I'm Van Phillips, European Tour winner and PGA coach, and you're watching the third video now in the best ever golf practice strategy series. Now, if you haven't watched videos 1 and 2, I urge you to do that, otherwise this is going to make no sense whatsoever. Now, in this video, I'm going to give away the secret to performing on the golf course instead of leaving your best game on the driving range. And I'm also going to give away the most powerful element to practice that's going to transform you into the best player that you can possibly be. That's right at the end of the video, so stay to the end. Okay, let's get going. So, I talked in the first video about blocked practice, which we know isn't ideal, but blocked practice does have a place in your practice strategy as long as we're using the plan, act, review system. Okay, we could use an acronym for that. We could call it the PAR system. Okay, what a lucky set of initials we've got there for golf. So PAR system, plan, act, review, but we're going to use it in a blocked way for 1/3 of your practice time. So let's say you've got an hour to go to the range. I would recommend that the first 20 minutes we use the blocked way, which we know isn't optimal, but it has its place. And as long as we're using this plan, act, review system, we can use the blocked method of practicing to help us achieve motor pattern changes. So what do I mean by that? Well, when we want to change something technical in our swing, when you've had a lesson, your coach may have said to you, listen, you need to improve this part of your technique. In order to do that effectively, it's a good idea for small amounts of time to use that blocked method, but as long as we're using the plan, act, review system. So let's say hypothetically that I would like to work on turning my right hip a bit more in my takeaway. Let's say that I've got my hips a bit locked and my coach has said to me, listen, you're not turning your hips properly. You know, you really need to focus on getting a little bit of right hip turn. So that would be my technical piece of instruction. That's my task to improve. Okay, so the first 20 minutes, what I'm going to do, and I'm glad you can't see any golf balls here because that means I've created my effective practice environment. Again, go back to videos 1 and 2 if you don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to have to go and get a ball, okay, which is exactly what happens on a golf course. We haven't got a pile of balls sitting there waiting to be struck. Then I'm going to go through my plan, act, review stage, but in the blocked phase where I've got a technical observation, that's where I'm going to put my focus. I need a very internal focus when I'm working on motor pattern changes. So I'm going to need to really observe the rotation of my rear hip. That's where I need to put my focus, that's where I need to put my mind. Now the key word here is observe, okay? You must not judge. So I don't want you making a swing and then going, oh, that was bad or that was good. Don't use judgmental terminology, okay? That's not effective. It doesn't help you get better. Use observational terminology, okay? So you're going to observe, you're going to ask yourself, did my hip turn? If the answer was no, that's not bad or good. It's just, no, I observed it didn't turn. The next swing, I'm going to observe it again and see if I can make it rotate a little bit more. So that's key language there. Getting into psychology a little bit here, I'd urge you to go over to my website. There's lots of great videos on psychology there. But let's get back into, so we're in this 1/3 phase of blocked practice. How's that going to look? Okay, I've got 6-iron here. I'm going to go through that process with you now. So I'm going to plan my shot. I'm going to pick a target. I'm picking the yellow flag out there, and I'm going to use my rehearsals and my practice. When I go back into my planning phase behind the ball in a minute, I'm going to rehearse the feeling of my right hip moving back and away. I'm going to put all of my internal focus there. I'm going to rehearse it a few times and have a plan. Okay, it's a kinesthetic plan. I'm using my kinesthetic awareness of my hip movement here, and I'm using that in my planning stage. So here we go. my review stage there, the shot went a bit left actually. So if I was observing the result and judging the result, that would be a very negative mindset to be in, a non-productive mindset for my practice session. That wasn't my goal, was it? In my planning stage, I planned to observe the rotation of my right hip. So from that perspective, in my review, I was actually quite pleased. I felt like that hip certainly had a little bit more rotation. I was aware of it rotating. So again, I'm not labeling it good or bad. I'm just saying, yeah, I felt some rotation in the hip there, great. I've reviewed the situation. I'm going to go now for a new ball. Now, what I would advise in this stage though, even though it's blocked practice, I'm not changing club, I would advise that we change target still each time. So we're using the blocked method, but we're elevating it, okay? It's a really more sophisticated way to use blocked practice. So 1/3 of your practice time, that's what you should be doing. Picking a technical issue. It might not be technical in terms of your swing. You might need to work on something to do with your pre-shot routine. Okay, it doesn't need to be a swing issue, but whatever it is, use blocked practice for roughly 1/3 of your available practice time and focus in on that one technical issue. So if we had an hour to practice, we'd be left with 40 minutes now. And that's when we're going to get into the random phase where I'm going to randomly select clubs now and change target each time. And what we want to get into in that random phase of practice for the next 40 minutes is we want to take our awareness. In that blocked phase, it was really focused awareness on that one technical issue. Mine was my right hip. But when we get into the random phase, it's important that we switch our focus much more now into what type of shot are we trying to hit. Make a decision on that. You might want to try a fade, you might want to try a draw, and do that. I encourage you to do that. Don't try and hit the same shot all the time when you practice. Vary the shot types, okay, experiment. Okay, I'm going to get into that a little bit more into the end of this video, but experimentation when you're practicing randomly is really vital as well. It's a vital component. So don't get stuck in that one phase of concentration where you're always thinking about your right hip for the whole session. Okay, you've done that. You've done your 20 minutes of block practice. Now you've got to trust that some of those messages, some of those neurological messages that you've been practicing have worked their way into your swing. You've got to get much more external now. You're into the random phase. You've got to take your mind now more into the target, more into the shot shape that you're going for, and be random with your club selection. So I did a little bit of this in video 2, but let's do 3 more shots now as an illustration, and I'm going to get a little bit more into what I'm thinking in the planning stage here. So I'm going to change my 6 iron. I'm going to go to a rescue. Okay, I'm changing my target. I'm going way to the right. There's a tree over on the right hand side, and I'm also deciding that I'd like to move the ball in from left to right. I'd like to try and fade it into that tree. So when I come into my planning phase, the planning phase is all about visualizing the shot that I would like to hit, and then trying to create some kinesthetic awareness of how I'm going to achieve that. Okay, so if I want to fade this ball, I know that my club face needs to be slightly open to the direction that I'm swinging the club in. So I'm going to start building that into my plan, and I'm going to start making a few rehearsals where I'm literally going to feel that I'm holding the club face, or even slightly counter rotating the club face slightly open in my rehearsals. So I was really feeling, I was putting some awareness into the club, into my hands there, and how they're going to control the face. Now I'm going to picture my shot. Okay, now I'm going to review the shot. So I overdid that. I got too much shape there, but I was very aware that I'd created those impact conditions that I was after. but I did it a bit too much. So that's okay, I reviewed it, I've soaked up the sensations there, I've really learned something from that shot, I've really learned how much I can afford to feel that club face opening and what sort of shape it produced. Okay, my subconscious mind's logged away a lot of information there because I went through the planning, acting and review system. Now I would change club completely again. I would go for a really short iron now. I started with a 6 iron, that was a rescue. I'd go and hit a pitching wedge now. Okay, so again, I'm really mimicking what would happen on the golf course. So first section of this video was all about giving you a structure to your practice session. So remember, 1/3 blocked practice, but using the PAR system, plan, act, review. The next 2/3 should be random, but switching your focus from internal. Remember, in that blocked phase, you were really internal, really only observing a technical issue. I decided that was my right hit. Whatever your technical issue is, up to you. But in the random phase of practice, you've got to get a little bit more external now. What shot shape are you trying to hit? What feelings do you need to create to achieve that shot? And review those things after the shot. I hope that helped you a lot. Tune into the next part of this video. I'm going to teach you the most powerful element to practice. Okay, this is exciting. This is the secret ingredients to really transferring your skills from the range to the golf course. So now hopefully you're well versed in the two main methods of practice, the blocked and the random or interleave methods. You're using your planning, acting and reviewing to really make sure that whatever learning takes place has a greater chance to be retained. Okay, I just want to go over that quickly because in video 2 I talk about the acquisition phase of learning, which is what the range is. Now you've got to be more long-term minded with your view of your golf in general. Okay, don't judge practice sessions for instant gratification. Okay, you might have great results in the 60 minutes that you're on the range if you're practicing in your old, ineffective, blocked way without using the PAR system, because you're standing in one place and you're grooving one thing, which is totally unrealistic, and your results might be great, but in that short-term evaluation you haven't helped yourself at all. Okay, your goal, remember, when you practice is to actually play better the next day or 2 weeks later or whenever it is. You want to play good on the golf course. If you practice brilliantly hitting machine gun shots from one place, you haven't really achieved anything. So I just wanted to stress that. But what can we do to really take this system now up to the next level? Now what we need to do is we need to introduce pressure. Okay, when we play golf, we're under everyone's got their own amounts of pressure. If it's a monthly medal, you're under the same pressure that Tiger Woods is under in the Masters, really, because that medal means just as much to you. Okay, you don't want to show yourself up in front of your friends, you don't want to put a card in that's 5 over your handicap. We all create our own amounts of pressure that are pretty much equal, to be honest. Okay, so when we practice, if we're not introducing that into our practice sessions, again, we're not really practicing in a realistic way at all. So how can we introduce some pressure into our practice session? Well, we need to create a consequence. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, the first thing we need to do when we're playing golf on a golf course, we have the target, obviously. Okay, let's talk about an iron shot as an example. We're going towards the flag. Now that flag might be on the right side of the green, might be on the left side of the green. Okay, now if it's on the right side of the green, obviously if we miss the green to the right, there's a consequence, isn't there? We've missed it on the wrong side. We're going to have a difficult chip if we miss it on the right. So we've got that extra element now of consequences. That's the real life situation when we play golf. So when you practice, you need to bring that into your practice session. So I'm going to demonstrate now and talk you through how we do that. So I've actually got a rescue club here, but we're going to still pretend that I'm playing an approach shot on maybe a par 5 or a long par 4. Now, when I pick my target, I need to start imagining that there's something on the right of my flag. Okay, we've decided to use the right as our example here. So now in my mind, I'm going to set some constraints for this shot. I'm going to say before I hit this shot, okay, right, I'm going to have an intention with this shot, but I can't miss the target to the right, okay? If I miss it to the right, I'm going to create a forfeit for myself, okay? I'm going to put myself under a little bit of pressure. I'm going to decide that if I miss the flag on the right, I need to do 10 press-ups, okay? Now, obviously, I'm not recommending that you all try and do 10 press-ups. I don't know what your fitness levels are, and you need to consult a doctor if you're going to do any kind of training, but this is just an example. I'm going to play a little game with myself here where I've picked a target and I've decided that I can't miss that target to the right, okay? And I'm also going to give myself a limit on the left, okay? Because there's no good me saying, oh, I can't miss it on the right, so I hit it 100 yards left. That's obviously ridiculous. So I'm going to give myself a 20-yard dispersion on the left. So I've now got some parameters in my mind. I've decided that I'm going to hit this ball somewhere between 20 yards left and the flag, but anything right of the flag, and I'm going to need to do 10 press-ups. Okay, so let's have a go. Okay, I'm picking the yellow flag. There is a academy building in the distance, and the edge of the building is about 20 yards left. So again, you're going to need to find your own points on the horizon, but it's pretty easy on most driving ranges, on most practice areas, you'll find something. So I've got my 20-yard space, and I know that I can't miss the flag to the right, otherwise it's 10 press-ups time. And also, if I go further than my 20 yards left, it's 10 press-ups time. So I've created a minimal element of pressure here, okay? I'm doing my best to create a situation like I have in a tournament. Just about got away with that, thank God. Just kept it inside my target zone there, but I was already feeling, as I was over that ball there, I'd introduced an element of pressure, okay? And that is absolutely vital. When do we ever play a tournament where nothing matters? Of course, there are consequences. So this is really secret sauce, if you like. This is the really most powerful element to taking your practice to that next level. Now, you can do it in a number of ways. The ideal way to practice would always be with a partner, in actual fact. So you can have any number of small bets, have a small gamble. Doesn't need to be anything expensive or serious, okay? You might decide to play a series of shots with a friend. Let's say you play 10 shots in a row, and whoever wins the most challenges out of that 10-shot challenge buys lunch or buys a drink, or you might just play for £1 or $1 wherever you are in the world. So just keep consistently creating as much pressure in your practice as you possibly can. So consequences, remember I decided to imagine I couldn't miss the flag on one side. Use your imagination, have a gamble, create a forfeit if you haven't got a friend to play with. This is the secret sauce that's going to take your game to the next level. As always, I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying these videos. Check out my website, www.vanphillips.co.uk. Check out Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.